Hi, I'm Rachel Evans. We are here at Meltdown Comics, and this is where to start with comics. We are going to be talking about one of the greatest comic book writers of all time, Alan Moore. I'm going to tell you where to start, I'm going to tell you where to go next, and what to avoid, although that will be difficult on this one particularly. All right, y'all, let's get started. Alan Moore came over to America in the 80s from Great Britain. He practices magic, he reads tarot, he worships a snake. Obviously, he's my favorite. A good way to think about Alan Moore is that he's kind of like Kanye West. He is a literal psychopath, but he makes hits one after the other, and so you have to respect the guy. What I love about Alan Moore is that he dives into his character's psyche, not just what powers they have or what bad guys they're fighting. He wants to understand these characters and know what makes them tick. Now, where do you start? Swamp Thing is about the story of Alec Holland, who is a scientist who is in a freak lab accident and he gets turned into a swamp monster. But turns out he's not a swamp monster at all. It's just a collection of plants that thinks it's Alec Holland. Abigail, his girlfriend, decides to stay with him despite him just being a bunch of sentient plants, which is beautiful. There's even an issue where she eats part of his plant body and then they have weird drug plant sex, and it's pretty insane. And you should definitely read it when you're 13 because that'll mess you up for a while. After you're finished with Swamp Thing, you should be ready for Watchmen. Some people say Watchmen is the greatest graphic novel of all time. It created entirely new characters, and it puts these superheroes in a real-life world and makes you think, hey, what would happen if I had these powers but still had to take the subway to work? They also turned Watchmen into a movie. Was it my cup of tea? No, but that's okay. I don't like a lot of things that I don't like caramel apples. People love that. So, honestly, there's not much to avoid with Alan Moore, but I will say some stuff is not for beginners. I would not start with Miracle Man, for instance. It's very dark, and also Promethea is super confusing. Doesn't mean that in 5 years, when I'm in some spiral in a dark apartment by myself, it won't be my favorite. It probably will be. So get into it. I promise you'll find something that you love. Thank y'all so much for watching. I had such a good time talking about my baby, Alan Moore. And thank you so much for letting us shoot here at Meltdown Comics. Come into Meltdown and say that Snarled sent you. You will get 10% off. Unreal. Don't forget to subscribe to Snarled. Next week, I'm gonna be talking about Brian Michael Bendis. Yes, queen.